Valley, hooey Hollywood, where any office boy.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of That Movie Show. Mike Wendt and Eddie McCabe taking you through another week of movie talk. Eddie, I almost called you Eddie Belfort. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing peachy keen, Jelly Bean. For the first time in forever, there's a fire in my belly, and God, it feels good to have a purpose.
I believe we're dubbing Eddie the Wolf of Waltham now.
Yeah, the Wolf of Waltham. Basically, for those of you who have no idea what has been happening in the world.
If you've been living under a rock, man.
Yeah. Basically, some idiots on Reddit basically decided to dismantle Wall Street, and they basically started buying GameStop stock in order to basically make a huge profit. And it went from being worth like $2 a share to like $400 a share overnight. Well, it just so happens that one asshole, that asshole being me, ended up already having a bunch of that stuff and made a cool couple $100.
Nice. I'm just going to sit here because, I mean, you said idiots on Wall Street, but I'm thinking, you know, they're the living embodiment of that Thor meme, that's what heroes do.
Yeah, that's what heroes do. It's been very fun. So, like, it all started because a buddy of mine was like, hey, man, you should get Robinhood. It's like a stock trading app, and you can, like, learn how to do it and, like, buy your own stocks and stuff and, like, start investing that way. And I was like, okay, I guess I could do that. So then I did that months ago. And the big one that I got it for was because it was like, oh, Pfizer, they're like having a really promising COVID vaccine. And I was just like, oh, okay, I'll buy some stock in Pfizer. And then maybe I'll make some money with the medical stuff, because that seems, it's like medical and technology, and those skyrocket and stuff.
Right.
So I bought that, and I put money in, but then I just ended up buying stupid shit. So, like, I have AMC because I am a member of the AMC A-list, and so don't you let anybody tell you.
Not by choice. They won't let you leave.
No, that's the Showcase subscribe.
Oh, see, okay. That's right. Because, see, I was coming up on my Showcase subscribe renewal. So full backstory, Eddie and I used to be sponsored by Showcase before the pandemic. We were going to continue to be sponsored, but the pandemic.
Yeah, movie theaters closed.
Movie theaters closed, thus rendering the Showcase subscribe app useless to us because we could not go to the movies. But all of a sudden I got an email, as you got, saying, we're going to automatically renew or reactivate your Showcase subscribe, and you could pick the date. And the very last date was December 31st of last year, so New Year's Eve.
Right.
And this email came probably in the summertime. So I'm like, all right, what's the furthest away I can just push this and ignore it for right now, because I don't feel like dealing with it. Right. And who the hell knows what's going to happen in the fall? Pushed it there. All of a sudden, like, this pandemic's still going on.
Yeah.
It's December, and I'm texting you. I'm like, how did you get out of it? And you're like, well, they charged me $40 and I canceled. I'm like, okay, I don't want to deal with that right now. So I tried canceling. It didn't work. I was using two phones at the same time, like trying to, because
you had a guy in the van.
Yeah. It's like when you open the app, it would like open for like a second and then flip to a pop-up that you couldn't close out of. So I was like trying to time it where the app would open and I would hit the profile button so I could like break in the back door type of thing. Yeah. It wasn't working. It just wasn't fucking working. So finally I got around to the point where it was like the week before, and I'm like, I can't justify giving them $40. I just can't. Like,
because
I would love, because we were not lying when we talked about Showcase Subscribe. It was a great app to have when theaters were open. Even living down here on the Cape, I would still go to movie theaters. Like it was great because I could now explore the South Shore options like Randolph and stuff like that. Yeah. However, I haven't been to a movie theater since pre-pandemic. Invisible Man was the last movie I saw. Okay.
Yeah, famously, the last two movies I saw was The Hunt and Bloodshot. Starring Vin Diesel.
The Vin Diesel expanded universe.
Yeah, the Vin Diesel expanded universe. He isn't Groot in this, and that's the tagline. But there's no.
It really was.
Yeah, there's no new movies, and so the crappy part about that and the AMC A-list even is that it's like, you technically have new movies coming out, or not new movies. Your theaters are open, and I can go see a movie, but it's just like, yeah, look, here's the thing. I don't want to risk catching a deadly disease so I can see flippin' Star Wars.
Yeah, and yeah, to that point, it's like Showcase in December and November, one of them, like each week ran, it was basically Tarantino month, and they ran all his movies all month. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. That's a great idea. That's a great way to get people to come in. I'm not going to go because I own all the movies, and I'm not going to risk it just to go see Pulp Fiction in the theater for the 10th time in my life. I'm not going to do it. So I finally got around to, finding the correct email and was like, I don't want to pay for this. Please take me off. And it took a couple of days, but they finally got me off. So I didn't get the charge for the $40.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Wow, I win. But stocks, that's what we were? Holy shit. Wow, did we go off on an ADD tangent on that one?
Real big.
You feel like we had to get something off our chest for a minute.
But because I'm a member of the AMC list, I already have stock in AMC, you see. And that's one of the stocks that everybody was like, losing their shit about. Right. And then, Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency, Elon Musk tweeted about it, and it was like 0.0002 cents. So I threw $40 at that because why the fuck not? And then it decided that it got all the way up to 5 cents. And because I had $5 billion in this cryptocurrency, it's like, hey, do you want $500? And it's just like, yeah, sure, I guess. Fucking
love it. Yes.
Fucking why not? I guess. It's all a means to an end. I just want to buy Disney and WWE stock. Right. Without actually having to put the cash up front, I guess.
Without actually having to buy it, right?
Yeah, without having to actually be like, I am going to give you the full $170 for this stock.
So without knowing too much about stocks, it kind of sounds like what you're trying to do is from casino terms, like playing with house money.
Yeah. So basically, the whole point is that you're buying a portion of the company. Right. Okay. That's what it is. And, let's just say there's 100 pieces of Disney stock. Right. And so there's 100 people that can own part of Disney, the company. Right. And so the more people that want that, the more expensive that becomes. Right. Because, if, nobody really wants GoPro. So, or GameStop, for example, right? Nobody wanted GameStop last week. So that was $1.50. But now, today, everybody wants GameStop stock. Well, so
for the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reasons, but they still do. So
it's not like we're going back to trading our games.
It's $400 for GameStop stock. Right. And so that's how that works. And so the nonsense that's kind of happening is that basically there's a bunch of people that are super wealthy and super loaded, and they're fucking with money and basically treating it as a casino. Right. And then everybody that's all these normal people that have these apps like Robinhood are like, oh, so all that information that you use to make a boatload of money is easily accessible. Oh, that's what you're doing? Oh, we can do that too. And then, and then the problem is that all these billionaires were crying foul, and it was just oh, you're a bunch of fucking idiots.
Well, they shut down the app.
Right. They shut down the app. They made it a huge thing. And it's just hey guys, I don't know if you know this, but if you make it a thing, it's going to be a thing. If you just let these people have their moment with GameStop and they're all high-fiving and, they're going to laugh about it, they'll get bored and go away because it's the fucking internet. But as soon as you're just no, I'm wealthy and you're not doing this correct, well, now it's a cause. Right. And when it's a cause, now it's oh, this cryptocurrency, which is basically monopoly money, we're going to make actually worth something so a bunch of us can actually make money. That's what we're going to do.
I mean, basically what I thought of when this happened is basically this is what happens when you force every nerd in the world to stay home for a year, and then the rich people quibble over whether $600 is enough for 11 months.
Yeah, right.
Guess what's going to happen?
Yeah. Oh, we figured out
I think I found something.
Yeah, right. I figured out how to make all the money. You know what I mean? And it's like, it was a very fun couple
you guys
of days.
want to fuck over Wall Street? Yeah, okay, cool. Let's do that on a Tuesday. All right.
Yeah. Like, I'm on
Although
TikTok.
it did fall on a Wednesday. Why is everything happening on a Wednesday?
Everything's on Wednesday.
Everything is a fuck up day. What is going on with fucking Wednesdays?
So 2020, we had, one life-changing, event, all-time event a month. And 2021 said, hey, bitch, hold my beer because we're doing it once a week.
And it's going to be Wednesday.
It's just going to be Wednesday. Everybody hates Wednesday already, so we're just going to keep it as Wednesday. Because it's like, we had an insurrection. We had an insurrection and then an impeachment, and everything looks like we're going to head to civil war. Then we have an inauguration, and everybody's just like, all right, I guess we can kind of like relax now. And then it was just like, no, fuck Wall Street. Am I right? Like, what the fuck is going to happen next? Like, do you know what'll be nuts? Is if now next month, right? Because Monday is February, and that's the second month of the year. We get 2 a week, and then
Double
March,
down.
Then when March shows up, it's 3. You know what I mean? Like, it just keeps with the months at that point.
Oh God!
By the time December rolls around, it's just every fucking day.
Oh my God! I can't wait. I can wait. Actually, that could never happen, and I'd be good with it. I've been saying it now for 3 weeks. Can we not have an historical event happen next week?
No,
that'd be nice.
No,
I don't
we
want to be part of history anymore. Like,
No,
I'm done.
We're gonna have 2. We're gonna have 2 historical events.
It's basically like someone figured out we've done nothing historic for like, I don't know, 20, 30 years. You want to double down on all that shit?
Yeah, I think the last historical thing that we did was 9/11. That was in so. I think
that
we're
wasn't
overdue.
good. That one didn't market test very well.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just throw a bunch of shit at the wall, see what sticks. Insurrection.
Start up. Pandemic.
Yeah, we're gonna have a pandemic. We're gonna also all forget that the president tried to start World War III by assassinating a Middle Eastern general. We're just gonna forget about that.
I forgot that one.
You know what I mean? Like, we're just gonna forget that. So much so that we thought that the Pakistani government was gonna ruin the inauguration for some reason. Like
Jesus Christ.
That feels like when that happened.
Though.
When that happened last year, it really kind of felt like that was the like weird semi-inconsequential thing that happens in like episode 2 of a show where it's just like, oh, wait, that was really fucked up, that the thing that happened. I really hope that thing just doesn't come back and bite us in the ass. And it's just like, now we're just still waiting because that's how the season ends. It's just like Pakistan rolls up and just like nukes Miami.
It's like it's the Russian from the Pine Barrens episode of Sopranos. We're all just spending the rest of the fucking series waiting for him to come back. Where is the Russian?
Yes, 100%. 100%. You don't really start realizing it. It's like, I've been rewatching Doctor Who, and in the first season, the word bad or the words bad wolf keep popping up, and then at some point you're just like, they just keep fucking saying it. What the fuck does that mean? And now I'm looking for somebody to say it, and then it fucking comes to fruition, and you're like, that's what it meant the whole time. Ah! And so that's how I feel that life's going to happen, because really, we're really ramping it up for the final season of Earth, I guess.
And then you pull out and the bottom of the coffee cup says Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, and then
this was all a big joke. I can't wait for that one.
Just the fun part about
the end of it, fucking the curtain pulls up, waka waka. It's like, what?
One of my favorite things about because I'm a psychopath, I guess.
Sure.
But I think about The Usual Suspects and like the whole thing. And here's the deal: spoiler alert for The Usual Suspects. But fuck you, okay? That's the kind of mood I'm in. At the end of The Usual Suspects, when Kaiser Soze, or Verbal Kint, he starts like walking down the street before he gets in the car.
Sure.
Yeah. How insane must that have looked to just normal fucking people? Like, this dude comes limping out of the police station.
It was a body limp. It was a whole, if you're watching this on video, it was a whole shoulder. The hand was all gimped up. The leg was literally inverted. Like, say what you will about Kevin Spacey, but the son of a bitch committed to that walking shit.
Oh, 100%. But in universe, like how insane must have that have looked as like somebody just like walking down the street opposite him, just being
in
like,
the Usual Suspects expanded universe.
yeah. Like, and again, he's right outside the fucking police station, and there's no cops being just like, hey, that guy's just not
watched that
anymore.
Like, I don't know, probably a few months ago. And that ending, one of the things that kind of stood out was the fact, it's like, oh yeah, there was a time where we couldn't just text someone.
Yeah.
Where we weren't inches away from everyone in our life.
Yeah.
Where because they had to sketch draw and then fax that sketch over. And then he just happened to be walking by the fax machine to pull it off and be like, oh, that looks like the fucking guy who just walked out of here.
Yeah.
And instead of being like putting an all alert, like sending a mass text out to every cop being like, hey, the guy walking, it's like he actually had to physically run after him. It's like, oh yeah, there was a time where we couldn't just, I don't know, alert everyone we know that we're eating a sandwich.
Yeah. Right. So nonsensical.
I had a delicious ham sandwich today. I'll give it like 2 stars.
Yeah. Wow.
Ham wasn't quite smoked enough.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. My waitress didn't say have a nice day at the end, so 1 star.
1 star. I didn't tip her.
I didn't tip her.
I am a colossal cunt and a yelper.
Yeah. What I need you to do is know that I run a Facebook food group. So this meal's free. Or else I'm going to tell everybody that your restaurant sucks.
God, that sounds familiar. Sounds like my other show that we're talking about.
Here's the thing. Again, all I do is watch movies and I don't do much else. And I listen to that show, Nonsense, with Mike Wendt and Andy Milanakis. Ferg. Andy Ferg.
Yes. There's been a lot of Facebook drama on the other show.
It is a delightful show, and I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love that this dude's roast beef group got taken down by Facebook. Then you got in trouble because you're a pseudo white supremacist for referencing Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, and I'm like, God. I see. This is the thing. New Age Insider shut down, and all of the nonsense drama in my life went away. And on many levels, that's a good thing.
Sure.
And because, you can only take so much of like, you're an awful person and you should kill yourself because you like Bill Goldberg, right? Like, I can do without that, right? I can do without that. But there's so much nonsense drama with assholes that on pro wrestling stuff that it's like, oh, I kind of do miss that. I do miss being called a white supremacist because I really I like movies so much that I referenced Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, completely not watching the news enough to know that that's also a reference to white supremacists. I don't know what world you live in, lady, but holy shit, get off the internet.
Well, that was just it, and without digging too deep, like that's one of those things that like she was like, it's on Reddit. I'm like, look, I'm on Reddit. You can tailor what you see on Reddit. If you saw it on Reddit, you wanted to fucking see it. You went looking for it because all I see is movies and GTA, and that's pretty much it.
Here's the thing.
Maybe the occasional COVID update.
I'm not on Reddit because every single time I go on Reddit, it tells me I'm doing too many things and won't let me do shit. So fuck that website.
You gotta treat Reddit like a voyeur. You just gotta look at the information. Don't try to interact with people because it's a toxic place. It's really bad. It's like, it's the internet, so it's a horrible place. But sometimes it's funny. Sometimes there's memes. I got a whole bunch of Always Sunny in Philadelphia groups where I'm just reading all the memes. I don't fucking participate. I just read.
Yeah,
and then steal and share them as my own. What?
TikTok is delightful.
TikTok is delightful because it's wow. Almost. I caught myself on that one. Almost used a North Shore reference for stupid. Didn't do it. But it's really fucking stupid. The fact that in a week and a half now, I've amassed 2,000 followers, and all I'm doing is once a day pointing my phone at whatever I'm watching on TV for 30 seconds.
Yes.
And one of them has over 110,000 views.
Yeah.
You guys are stupid. I'm fucking with you completely. You are all part of my dumb social media boredom experiment, and it's working. And I look and it's like, I feel bad for you because it's like, you're trying. You're actually turning the camera on yourself and trying to create content out there. And the dick who's just like, yeah, this is dumb. I'm going to point it at my TV for 30 seconds. Boom, 2,000 in a week. Like I didn't have to work for that.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the shitty thing about that app, right? And it's partly my own fault is that I don't have
no edits, no transitions, no speaking, no text. Literally, what am I watching? Oh, I'm watching Swingers. Here you go. Here's 30 seconds of Swingers. Go. Yeah. 60,000 views. You fucking morons.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's like I'm
not even good angles. Sometimes the cup of water is in the frame.
Right. And so it's like, this is the problem. And it's like, it's my own fault because I don't have like a quote unquote niche, right? Like I don't have one of those.
I don't think I did either.
Well, no, that's the thing is that there are so many people that post like scenes from movies. And like, that's literally it. Some do it more elegantly than you do, right? Where it's like people actually like rip the video and like, it's actually like formatted and shit. But it's like I see that shit all the time where it's just like, here's this scene from this horror movie. And they put up like 2 or 3 so that people like watch them. Or like, Bill and Danny, a couple of park hoppers, right? They have over 10,000. But again, they're on Disney, right?
But they're also doing like content too. And they should. See, that's what I looked at. Like they should. You should. You guys are actually putting forth the effort. Like I watch your TikToks and it's like, holy shit, he's really putting forth. Like you thought things up. Like you actually, like even putting in half a thought is more than what I'm doing.
For people that don't know or follow my TikTok if I put like another 2 minutes into every video, it would be a stand-up set.
Right.
That would basically be it.
Right. Exactly.
Right. It's just weird anecdotes, funny.
It'd be the proverbial tight 5.
Yeah, it'd be a tight 5. That's basically it. Bill and Danny are like producing content about like Disney World. But that's the thing is like you have this like niche. There's like that's like a place on TikTok that people do because it's like they follow movies and it's just like, oh, I saw Swingers, and then once they see your thing and like it, they'll see 15 more of it. And it's just so like
stupid.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That was the other thing. Is like the bitch of it is like I got a YouTube channel that I actually give a shit about that I actually put effort into, and it's like I'm having trouble breaking 1,000 fucking subscribers. Like that's all my goal is. I'm at like 850 something or 820 something. And I'm like, I just want to get 1,000 subscribers. This thing in a week on a goof.
Yeah.
A fucking goof.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's absolutely
so dumb.
Yeah. Well, it's insane how the internet works.
And I did it without tits.
Yeah. You did. You didn't think you could do it.
Because I kind of figured out that's a good way to get followers on TikTok. Have those.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it is. If you just show up and just start dancing, like that's the thing is like I see these ones where they're all dancing and shit, and it's just like, oh, I'm never gonna do that.
It makes me feel so bad for the world. Like watching a lot of them, like, oh man, really? Is this what we are?
Right.
Is this who we are? And maybe I don't know. Maybe that just makes me an old fucking man. And it is what it is. That's the fucking badge I'm gonna wear. But man, it's like. Stop! Like I watch, I'm like, I'm almost embarrassed for them. I'm like, stop it, stop it.
Well, the good thing is that it's not like once you actually like deep dive and like start following things and people and liking videos and stuff, it really tailors it. And it's just like, look, there's a couple of people that I really like. There's this one woman who.
That's the other thing. I follow nobody. I think I got you, Danny, The Rock, and Barstool Sports, maybe a couple others.
So like, there's this one woman like there's like she's a dancer, and all of her videos are dancing videos, but she like takes it to another level where it's like it's super edited. It's not just like some teenage girl in her bedroom with her friend. It's like, oh, I'm a professional dancer, and the best way to describe it is do you remember that? I think it was a Beats or Nike like headphone commercial where it was the headphone in the ear. But the ear was in the middle of the screen, and no matter who was wearing the headphone, it changed to different people. But basically it's like a thing you can do in Premiere where you like basically
I know the edit. I know the edit you're talking about.
Yeah. And
I know the editing style. I didn't see the commercial, but I understand.
So she's dancing and she's jumping up and down, and she is in the same place in the frame the whole time, but it looks like the room is going up and down.
You know what? I didn't see that one, but I did see one that I thought was very clever. And it's a girl who basically through a series of edits and transitions, turns herself into an animated Disney princess.
Sure.
So she starts dressed like starts as herself, dressed in normal clothes, and then she takes like a few steps towards the camera, strikes a pose, and then all of a sudden like a dissolve happens, and it's really fucking creative. So, but again, that person should have 10, 20,000 because they're fucking putting in work.
Oh yeah,
I should not have a single follower.
Yeah,
the fact I do.
You'd be so surprised because there's so many people. There's one that popped up where it's just scenes from the show The Rookie.
I don't know what that is.
It's a TV show called The Rookie, and it's about a rookie cop. That's like all it is. And this entire TikTok profile is dedicated to scenes about the show The Rookie. That's it.
Wasn't that a Charlie Sheen movie?
The Rookie? No, that's Dennis Quaid, where he's a baseball player.
You're wrong. 1990 action drama, Charlie Sheen and Clint Eastwood, The Rookie. Guess what we're doing next week, Eddie?
Well, it was going to be better than what I was going to suggest, which was one of my Bull Moose 5 Blu-ray bag.
All right, we are hitting about the halfway point. So before we jump into, because we didn't even cover anything we wanted to talk about.
No, we just said
so let's open up your grab bag of mystery movies, because I'm guessing they're probably going to be better than that Death VHS I received anonymously in the mail.
Yeah. So this
probably an X.
Here's the thing. Bull Moose, contact us if you want to actually sponsor this, because I would love you to sponsor this. But basically, they're a entertainment store, right? They have DVDs, Blu-rays, books, music, everything, video games, stuff like that. And then right next to their register, they had this brown paper bag, and it's just 5 Blu-rays. There was also one that was 10 DVDs, and so it's just mystery. I have no idea what's in here.
$5.97 it looks like.
Yeah, it was $6. $6.
So you get
here we
a
go.
mystery grab bag. Are there actually cases, or are they just
No,
discs
they're
in
loose.
the bag?
They're just loose.
Oh, that's dangerous. Oh my God.
I'm
already getting like hives.
All right. So here we go. You ready?
Yep.
The first one is Boondock Saints.
Hang on a second. I'm gonna move my camera here. Move it right in front of your microphone. That's the center. There you go. Okay, Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints.
Not the director's cuts. Okay, we're good. Off to a good start already.
All right. The Identity Thief.
Is that with I bet that's the Melissa McCarthy, Jason Bateman.
Oh, is that it?
It's not great.
Of course it isn't. Max.
I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm guessing a dog movie.
Yeah, so I believe this is the one about the military dog, and he's a military dog.
All right.
Live Free or Die Hard.
Okay, that's a coaster.
And wrapping up, the original Independence Day.
Hey, now look at that! Finally a winner. Actually, Boondock Saints was good. Now the question for $6, you got those 5 movies. Yes. Do you own any of them?
So here's the thing. I own a lot of movies on DVD.
Yep.
I don't own a lot of movies. Basically, back in the DZ, there was a companion store to GameStop called Movie Stop, and basically, I bought a bunch of movies from Movie Stop, and it was like my go-to place. But I bought them all on DVD. Yeah. I didn't buy any on Blu-ray. Sure. And then when I finally got a Blu-ray player, because I got a PlayStation 3, then I started purchasing Blu-rays. But my Blu-ray collection consists of essentially Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, missing a few, but essentially that.
Yep.
The movie Avatar, and the I believe Frozen, Up, and the Star Wars Complete Saga, which is the first 6 films.
Did you get the one like in the it's like the book,
hardcover book thing?
But it's like the cover is basically like it's like the sand color with Anakin, the young Anakin. Yep. Okay, that's the one I got too. I like that one.
I like that one. So, and then like that is the end of my digital or my Blu-ray collection.
Blu-ray collection.
Now, just because everything was digital, after that, for me. And
Sure.
as much as I would like to collect physical media, I don't have the space for it.
It's a commitment, man.
That's the thing. It's like,
especially when you're like me and you don't technically have a home. There's just piles of movies everywhere.
Oh, here's the thing: is like one of my favorite things, and something that I would love to do in the future when we do this show is do it in front of a wall of movies.
We did for a couple months.
We did for a couple months. I love that aesthetic.
Yoda had a top hat. He's homeless with me now. He doesn't have his top hat. His fancy dress party is over. But yeah, like, I mean, when people, you can go back and look at some of the old videos in that, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 month period we were doing them. But people think I'm joking when I used to say like film library. It's like, no, I had like 3 walls covered with movies. Like, and this has been a lifelong thing. Like growing up, my basement was full of VHS tapes. Then I progressed on to laser discs, and I had basically what looked like a record collection to normal people, and then DVDs and fucking then Blu-rays came in. I've started not going all in yet, but if I find like a good deal or a good set, I've started with 4Ks. Like I got a Apocalypse Now, which has like, I don't know, 8 cuts of the movie.
Taxi Driver too.
And I got The Shining on 4K, and it's like, I'm not gonna. There was a point where I was replacing movies. Yeah. So it's like when obviously VHS is a thing of the long thing of the past. Those were all replaced with DVDs. Still actually have a few. But then DVDs, and I'm started to replace them with Blu-rays. But I've gotten to a point where I've watched enough Blu-rays versus 4Ks, and it's like, it's too negligible of quality for me to redo my entire. It's 2,000 movies. I'm not fucking doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not worth it. But here's the thing: is like one of my favorite things, and because I'm a movie nerd, and because I love movies so much, and like Disney Plus has done a better job of it than other streaming services, but I love all the special features. Like, I love watching the bonus documentaries and the different featurettes and listening to the DVD commentary. And, like, that is a huge thing that I miss with streaming services like Netflix, right?
A massive loss.
It's a massive loss. Now, again, like, Disney Plus is doing a great job of, like, adding those special features and deleted scenes. But, a bunch of them are still missing. And I haven't looked at Endgame yet, right? I haven't seen what that one is.
They have some. They're not all there, but what I do like is they do have stuff like the commentary track, and stuff like that. But there's obviously some that aren't on there.
Because you brought it up in on Nonsense, right? I think either like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But you were talking about Tropic Thunder.
Right.
And that's my go-to one where I talk about commentary tracks and how, like, they're not all just like, yes, and so I decided to use this establishing shot because it conveyed this emotion, because they're a lot more fun than that, right? And the one I always point to is Tropic Thunder. For those who don't know, Robert Downey Jr. in the movie Tropic Thunder says he does not break character until the credits roll on the DVD commentary. And that's exactly what fucking happens. Yep. He is basically his Kirk Lazarus as, I forget
Lincoln
his
Osiris.
Yeah. And so he plays that character until that character becomes Lazarus again. And then the credits roll, and like out of a coma, Robert Downey Jr. talks for the last like 5 minutes of the credits. And it is wonderful, especially because Jack Black and Ben Stiller absolutely fucking hate it the whole time.
Because they're themselves. They're Jack Black and Ben Stiller doing a real DVD commentary with a madman.
Yes.
it literally, like, I owned that for a while before actually clicking on the commentary track, and it was one of the greatest choices I ever made, because it's literally like watching a brand new movie. Right. It was second movie for me, and commentary tracks can be fun. They can, there's a few go-tos that I will always enjoy. Kevin Smith is one, because he, especially the ones where he gets the gang together. Yeah, like him and Mosier have done a few where it's just the two of them kind of really breaking down the movie from a technical, and I'm like, no, give me Affleck and Muse drunk, like give me those guys, you know what I mean? I want that. Speaking of drunk, Trey Parker, Matt Stone, any commentary track they've done, because they get the crew together and get hammered and watch the movie. Basically, what it is if I can watch the movie and feel like I'm watching it with buddies. Yeah, those are good. Like Robert Rodriguez does them usually by himself, and he does a fantastic, because he does both sides of the coin. He's like watching it with a buddy because he's a big film nerd, but he also made the movie, and he's a super like geeky film nerd from that side of
Right.
it. Like he does the editing and does the camera. He makes the fucking music. And while we're on that, it boils into Tarantino, who doesn't do commentary tracks for his own movies, but when he pops up on others' movies, like
he's only done Reservoir Dogs.
Kind of. It was like pieced together from other things. Like, I know what you're talking about, but it wasn't like a true commentary track. But the two he did that are awesome was him and Tony Scott did True Romance, and him and Robert Rodriguez did From Dusk Till Dawn. And the From Dusk Till Dawn one, I can on Robert Rodriguez's old El Rey TV channel, which I'm hoping is turning into a streaming thing because it went off the air at New Year's. But they did a show called The Director's Chair, and Robert Rodriguez would sit down with directors and interview them. I mean, there's a 2-part Tarantino one, and it's like I could listen to these two guys talk about movies forever. It's so like right on where my level of like they like all the same shit. It's like shitty horror movies, kung fu, like bad comedies. It's like they're not like they're not like
I found a streaming service
film critics. Like it doesn't need to be like made on this and this and this and it's so fucking cool to listen to them. Another one I would recommend is like any Kurt Russell, John Carpenter movie. The two of them do a commentary track, and again, it's like two buddies because they are watching a movie. And when they can veer off from talking about the movie, it's awesome because they can always come back around to it. But it's just more it's kind of like we've referenced the show that's deep in the vault of the WWE Network called Legends of Wrestling, the Round Table.
Yeah.
And I love that shit because it's just long form road stories.
Right.
Like that was the stuff back on one of my old podcasts, Mike and Billy, when we used to have wrestlers on. It was like, just tell me a fucking story. Like one of my favorite interviews was Bob Holly. Like a one nobody would think, oh yeah, Bob. Fucking just road stories, man. Road stories. That's what I love. That's what I don't know if you listened to it or watched it, but Undertaker was on Joe Rogan this week or last week.
I haven't watched it.
And I'm just like, I love these old fucking stories. It's so like, because it's stuff you don't get anymore because of social media and shit like that. People aren't just driving from town to town with a bag of potatoes and a 6-pack of beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. But
they have contracts now.
And so but that's the one real advantage to physical media as opposed to digital. And it's like when I have the space, mostly I always chalk it up to when I actually have an office and I have like a streaming room.
Sure.
It's going to look like the most dysfunctional room in the entire fucking world because one corner is going to be a video library that I can shoot in front of. Mm-hmm. One is going to be a TV monitor. One's going to be a green screen. And then another is just going to be like shelving that I can just put different crap on. And like, it's going to look so dysfunctional, but it's like, that's the type of shit that I want is those like physical things. Right. I almost, when I was at Bull Moose, I almost bought I have Iron Man on DVD, but I don't have it on Blu-ray. I don't have Iron Man 2 on Blu-ray, so I was going to purchase both of those, just so I had, because I have the other ones on Bluray, but I don't.
Has Iron Man 3.
I have Iron Man 3. I do. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
And
then well, I mean, the sickness, my collecting sickness is real deep because you brought up the Marvel movies. And the bitch of it was, as a collector, you care about things that nobody thinks about. Like people are just like, oh, you bought the movie. I'm like, but the covers are important to me.
Right.
And the bitch of it was, Marvel knew how to get that extra $10 out of me because they would put the best artwork on the 3D Blu-ray set.
Yes.
I've never and will never own a 3D TV. I don't even think they make them anymore. I think it was really like that was an official fad. It was definitely a fad. But the fucking disc art on those, like, so much better. Much better. And now what they've started, because 3D isn't a thing, I think they're doing it more on the 4K steelbooks that are coming out. Those are getting the super cool artwork. And then it's like the Blu-ray gets the clip art cut and paste. There you go. Here's your $20 thing.
Here's the
4K
poster.
Gets a little bit better. And then it's like, but the steel, like the limited steel, that's why I got The Shining on. I don't, it's downstairs, but it's like, it's a yellow steel book and it basically mimics the hedge maze in The Shining, but instead of just lines mimicking the shape of the hedge maze, it actually says "all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." Kind of in the way that I don't know if you remember when Mayweather and McGregor,
the whole thing, and
yeah,
it was the thing. Oh God, that was a television movie for the ages.
Oh yeah, so we did that. Yeah, that whole fucking thing. We did that actually in the archives. We watched the bad Shining for your enjoyment. Speaking of which, are we ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, so
I feel like we've done a 2-hour show and we haven't even talked about.
Yes. So Disney announced that on Friday, February 19th,
Can't wait.
which is 2-3 weeks away, something like that. 3 weeks away, it looks like. The original Muppet Show will be dropping on Disney Plus, which, let's see. Apparently, this is going to be the first time that seasons 4 and 5 of the Muppet Show have ever been available commercially. So never on tape, never on DVD, never purchasable, which is super cool. So the original Muppet Show is dropping on February 19th on Disney Plus. So we decided that we were going to do, well, you decided, Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Centuries ago, a legendary treasure was buried on a remote island. And there's only one living soul daring enough to find it.
Hello, everyone.
Captain Abraham Smollett is taking command.
This voyage has begun.
To wherever the wind may take us.
Hurry, Rizzo!
I'm going as fast as I can.
But there's trouble afoot.
Beware the one-legged man. He's the one to fear.
Long John Silver, at your service.
One leg, Jim. Count 'em 1.
Now, the captain is being pursued by pirates.
Pirates!
We're sailing for buried treasure.
We're gonna be rich.
We're gonna be dead.
Surrounded by danger.
Terrific. Captured by crazed wild pigs and sacrificed hideously before a pagan altar.
Are we lucky or what?
And haunted by his past.
Bonsoir, mes amis. Smalley, can it be you?
Old girlfriend.
We got cabin fever. We lost what sense we had. We got cabin fever. We're all going mad.
Walt Disney Pictures presents, from Jim Henson Productions, a classic tale of ships coming in.
Who hired this crew?
And luck running out.
Get the treasure.
Let's torture the rat.
Huh? No more, Miss Nice Guy.
Cool.
Muppet Treasure Island.
I'm starting to worry about this voyage.
Muppet Treasure Island was released February 16th, 1996. It had a budget of $31 million. It came back with 34.3 at the box office. Some people consider it a success. I don't know. Those numbers don't add up to me. It was written by Jerry Juhl, Kirk Thatcher, James Hart, directed by Brian Henson, and stars Tim Curry and the Muppets. I'm just going to go with that.
Sure. That makes it a lot easier.
There's a few other people, but let's be honest. It's Tim Curry and the Muppets.
Yeah, it's Tim Curry and the Muppets. That's all that matters.
Yep. Okay.
So
you chose this one, and I have way too many thoughts that aren't great. So I'm going to let you go first.
sure. So now, what did we say? 1996.
Correct.
So I was 7 at the time, right? This is one of those movies. This is one of those movies, especially for me, as a huge fan of the Muppets, especially at 7 years old in the 90s. I saw this in theaters. I remember where I saw it. I remember watching it. So I enjoy this movie. There were certain things that I found to still be giggling. And I enjoyed it. I looking through nostalgia-colored glasses, I still enjoy it. But yeah, it's a little bit of a mess of a movie. It's definitely on that lower tier of the Muppet movie films. Yeah. Because it's obviously not the original Muppet movie. Not as good as that. Great Muppet Caper, definitely not as good as that. Or the Muppets Take Manhattan, or even the newest one with Jason Segel that came out several years ago.
I think the biggest thing about it was Jim Henson was dead.
Yeah.
So I mean, this was around. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to figure out when he died real quick. Because there was certain Muppets where it was like, oh, they're off-sounding Muppets.
Yes.
You know, the one that stuck out really glaring was, and they were only in a few scenes. Was it Slatter and Waldorf?
Yes.
Those two, the two curmudgeons. Yeah. So they were basically the ship masts. They were at the front of the ship, and they just sounded like dudes.
Yeah, they did. They didn't sound.
They weren't themselves. Kermit sounded off. Kermit was one of the most boring characters in the fucking movie. I watched it. I'm like, what is the point? And I'm gonna kind of trash the movie a little bit because I did not enjoy it this morning when I watched it, and it might have been the first time watching it. And I'm putting a lot of it on the fact that I don't think Brian Henson is a good filmmaker.
No, and the movie. So again, now if I take the nostalgia glasses off and I look at it as a person who reviews, critiques, and makes movies,
sure.
The structure of this movie is a fucking mess. Having this movie essentially be just like a traditional musical in the sense of we have a little bit of scene up top in order to get us to the musical number to then move us on to the next scene. That's all this is. Mm-hmm. For the source material being Treasure Island.
Yep.
There's a lot missing, right? There's a lot missing.
Yep.
And which is really kind of lame. Because
what it does is it fucks up the ending for me personally.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge fan, and for my nostalgia thing, is the 1950 version of Disney's Treasure Island.
Yes.
Because it ran on Disney Channel in the 80s when I was a kid, like every fucking day.
Oh, and into the 90s, because I remember watching it too.
And like that was my version of Treasure Island. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's a great movie. It's a 50s Disney movie. You know what I mean? But what it did was tell the story.
Right.
And watching this movie, I remembered the story, and I'm like, you're fucking up the story.
Right.
Because the two analogies I could come up with for what the musical portion of Muppet Treasure Island is like. One is crude. It's like a porno. The plot is there just to get us to the next fuck scene.
Yeah.
It's not important. The other would be, it's how I remembered, and again, another massive disappointment of mine, because I love the Muppets. Like like go back to our Muppet Christmas Carol. That fucking shit made me weep. Like it was a really good movie. But another disappointment was when they turned A Christmas Carol into a TV musical, the live musical. Remember, like 2 years ago, we kind of did it on the show.
And they yada through most.
They yada the story just to get to the song and dance, and they added song and dance. That's why it was a 3 hour. It's a fucking 89-minute movie, and they turned it to a 3-hour musical, and it's like it's all song, and like all of a sudden I'm sitting there watching, and I'm a huge fan of A Christmas Story, the movie. So I'm sitting here waiting for the story to come up, and it's like, okay, we got done with that song, and then they start the story. I'm like, great, I'm gonna actually enjoy this, and it's like, boom, nope. Yep. We're not even going to give a shit because we're moving on a live set over to this next part so we can hit our pose and do our dance. And it's like, and that's how this felt. It's like when you start to kind of absorb yourself into the story, all of a sudden the musical number kicks off. And it's like, why, man? Like I was just starting to get there.
Right. And when you look at, the Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, and for the most part, Christmas Carol, but even Christmas Carol's a little musically.
But it was a better musical because it fit the tone of the story.
Right. But all the other Muppet movies are movies that have musical elements, not musicals, whereas this one felt like a musical as opposed to a movie that's the best part about when the Muppets are at their best, and it's why that I don't know if it's a meme or, basically that internet thing pops up and it gets traction all the time. And you might know exactly what I'm about to reference is what is the movie that you would take, take one live action character and replace the entire rest of the cast with Muppets.
That's really how I felt this movie was.
Well, and that's what would happen. That's when Muppets are at their best, is that it's like, oh no, this is a real movie. It's just the Muppets are the actors. Like that's when they're at their best. And
I guess I should say that's what I was hoping for in the opening scene, because Billy Connolly was all over the place in the opening scene of this movie, and I'm like, oh, this is just like I thought the same exact thing. I'm like, this is just like that meme. He must be like going insane right now. Also, before we move on from him, first person to ever die in a Muppet movie.
Yeah,
weird. But yeah, like that's how I felt going into it, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is just because it was like 3 songs in the first fucking 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man, get your pacing together. One of the things that might have played into that, I have no idea, was the fact that the second unit director was credited as basically helming most of this movie.
Sure.
Which kind of was interesting because I was doing a little bit of research while watching it. And when the movie ended, usually the first credit you see is directed by. The first credit was second unit director and the guy's name. And I'm like, that's fucking really, and there's got to be some truth to it. The rumor was that Brian Henson was doing a lot of partying at the time and was quote unquote sick through most of the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
So the dude was hungover through most of his Muppet movie, which go back
tracks.
It's in our archives. Happy Time Murders. That's a whole hot mess of shit. That again, I was really excited for when the trailer dropped. Like we were like, I remember when we were talking about like, this is going to be fucking awesome. It's like R-rated Muppets. It's just great. It looks funny as shit. Nope. It was garbage. He's just not a good filmmaker.
No, he's not.
Partying and hangovers aside, he's just not a good filmmaker.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy, and the good thing is that they were able to get the 2 important things away from him, but the fact that that he doesn't control the Muppets anymore and it's Disney, and he doesn't control Sesame Street anymore, it's like, look, go make as many Happy Time Murders as you want, at least you can't fuck with those things,
right?
Because here's the thing, I mean, we all know the way that Disney operates, right? We're going to get the Muppet Show on to Disney Plus.
Yep.
And then within the next year, hopefully everybody kind of like watches and kind of falls in love with that version of the Muppets.
Right.
And then they're just going to relaunch the fucking Muppet Show.
They might. They probably will. I didn't hate the relaunch of the Muppets a few years ago when it was kind of like basically The Office. Yeah. I didn't hate it. It was different. It wasn't like on par or even on brand for what Muppet humor was. There was a lot of sex jokes in there.
Because it was like a primetime show too.
But that was just weird. It was like, I'm an adult and I was watching it like 8:00 at night. So it's like, I'm fine with this. It's funny. It's different. It's doing something different.
Fine. It was fine. But I have always loved the original Muppet Show, and then they had the Muppet Show Tonight.
Sure.
Which was like the Disney Channel reboot of that.
Right.
And even that was fun. That was a really good show. So I think that less is more when it kind of comes to them.
Tim Curry, one of my favorite people in the world. Yeah. And he's gone on record as saying not only did he love the process of making this movie, it's still one of his favorite parts of all time. He also went into it as a massive Muppet fan.
Sure.
So and with that knowledge, watching him through this and knowing how Tim Curry is the very over the top actor that he is, I'm like, oh yeah, he's having a blast.
Oh
like,
yeah,
this is right in his fucking wheelhouse.
He looked like he was having a blast, and that's why watching him when he's on screen, it's more watchable because it's just like it's like watching Nicolas Cage.
Kind of.
You know what I mean? Like they're not the same, but they're the same.
Right.
It's like. So that
he was
weird.
Having fun. He was a good part of it.
Yeah, the boy was terrible.
Yes, and the boy, like it took me again. I was doing research while watching it. Clearly, it wasn't keeping my attention. Also, this movie felt like it was 10 years long. Like the pacing was so dragging, and most of it because of the musicals. I
do like Cabin Fever still,
but they went the kid was going through puberty during the movie, so much to the point that they couldn't use his voice for the singing.
Yeah,
they had to
sounded that way.
they had to redub the old recordings or something of the songs that he was singing. So that I was like, because it felt weird. Like I'm watching it, being like, that doesn't.
It's
It's
felt
not
like a disembodied voice.
Yeah, and it clearly was. And just as far as the story is concerned, and they tried to, because again, I remember the story from the 1950 movie, and the story of Long John Silver and Jim Hawkins was a really well played out story in that movie.
Right.
And because of all the shenanigans in this movie, that whole story was very downplayed.
Right.
Which for me fucks up the ending of the movie. Because the ending of the movie, when Tim Curry, Long John Silver, is escaping with the treasure, and Jim catches him, and he's dealing with the fact that he wants to alert the rest of the crew that their prisoner is escaping with the treasure, but also what he should have been dealing with that wasn't completely conveyed, because at this point we didn't get it because it wasn't established in the movie, was basically Long John Silver was a father figure to Jim Hawkins.
Right.
And they became very, very close, to the point that, and again, it was done so poorly in this movie, Long John Silver saves Jim Hawkins from potential death from pirates.
Right.
In the story. In this one, it's kind of like, I don't know, there's so much shit going on. He's like, run. It's like, what? Is that it?
Also,
that's all you're going to give me? Because that was the emotional point that we needed to make the final scene where Tim Curry's giving it to us. He's crying. He's got the whole shit. He's acting his fucking ass off.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't care. You haven't made me care to this point. I know what, because I know the story, so I know what I'm supposed to be feeling.
Right.
And I'm like, it's not registering.
No, and it sucks because, and this is the one downside to the fact that Jim Hawkins was a person, and then we saddled him with Gonzo and Rizzo, right? Because now the story isn't necessarily like, oh, this lone boy is taken in by this ship cook, right? And then it turns out the ship cook is the owner of a fast food fish franchise, right? That was the point we were supposed to get from this movie, right? Is that at the end of the day he just owns he owns a fast food fried fish franchise.
He owns the not Red Lobster fish chain.
Yeah, okay. That's what I took away from this movie, but I could be
fast food fish chain.
Be wrong. No, but so instead of it being this like, this orphan boy being taken in by this guy and having this relationship built, it was like, well, who's your friends? Your old friends or your new friend? And then the reveal of Long John Silver being a bad guy comes way too soon.
Again, because of all the musical shit, we didn't have time to establish anything. So none of the moments that are supposed to be big moments emotionally and theatrically, none of them are really paid off because we haven't emotionally set up for this yet. We haven't set it up through the movie. We've just been worrying about all the song and dance and the fucking sight gags. It's like, I get, some of them are chuckleable.
Yeah.
But like, there's a story that you're just abandoning for sight gags. And again, it's like, I hate to feel like I have to say it, but you have to say it. It's like, I get it. It's a Muppet movie made for fucking kids.
Yeah, but that's the
you're
thing.
doing it. You're basing it on a piece of legendary American literature.
Right, but even still, that's not acceptable because they did it either years prior or a few years later with A Christmas Carol.
Right.
You know,
and
what I
again,
mean?
It feels like, and the fucked up thing about it is Brian Henson directed the Christmas Carol one too. Now that was 92. It was 4 years earlier. His dad had only been dead 2 years at that point. So this is now 6 years. Jim Henson died in 90. My feeling is that he got, there was enough of the old guard around him for A Christmas Carol that it was almost like it's impossible for him to fuck this up. Yeah. And then a lot of that
if the movie's released in 92, Henson, like Jim Henson, probably did 90% of the
probably had a lot of work on it, yeah. But by 96, so this is probably being filmed in 95-ish. enough of the core group had probably splintered off at that point, even to the fact that Frank Oz, who still voiced Fozzie, Piggy, and Sam the Eagle, he still voiced them, but he didn't puppeteer them, meaning he wasn't on set for it because he was off filming Bowfinger. He directed that. He directed Bowfinger at the same time. So normally Frank Oz was on set puppeteering and doing all that stuff. He just showed up after the fact to voice this shit. Now he had recorded, we did a read through. They did a read through and stuff, and they were going off his cues and stuff. But again, it's different if the guy's actually there who's been puppeteering these things for 50 years. You know what I mean? It's a different dynamic. Bear. He is Fozzie Bear. So there was, again, if it's one of those things that felt like a lot of it was riding because Muppet Christmas Carol was a success. It was more of a success because this made $3 million more than they spent. That's not a success in my book.
That's not a huge success. The other thing too is
the Christmas
like,
one I think doubled their money.
Yeah. Well, you have to imagine like everything they you do is supposed to be in like series and kind of related. Right. For the most part. And so it's like, this was probably going to be the plan, right? This was going to be the Muppet plan kind of going forward post Jim Henson is let's take classic American literature or classic literature because Dickens isn't American, but take classic literature and let's retell these stories with the Muppets, which on paper is a fantastic decision. Because it's like, immediately what comes to mind is like, obviously we'd have to change the script and language a little bit, but it's just like, oh yeah, what about Tom Sawyer or Huck Finn? Either one of those would be fantastic, that sort of stuff. The Great Gatsby would be very fun with Muppets.
Well, funnily you say that was the plan. Walt Disney Pictures had optioned to greenlight another Muppet movie after this. However, Brian Henson made a deal with Sony Pictures and Disney was like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, of course they did.
And the next Muppet movie we got was 2011, the Jason Segel one that went back to Disney once they bought all of it. They bought all the Muppets. So yes, the plan was Disney had a plan to make these types of Muppet movies.
The stuff you hear about what the plans were for Muppet integration in Walt Disney, like all the way around, is if you like the Muppets, like obviously if you don't like the Muppets, you wouldn't care. But if you like the Muppets, like MGM, that whole area, or now what's called Hollywood Studios, and the area that is now basically Galaxy's Edge, it was originally going to be an entire Muppets themed land. Yeah. The whole, like, they were going to have their own version of the Great Movie Ride. So it was basically going to be the exact same thing, except all of the Muppets involved in the movies as opposed to, more classic animatronics.
Sure.
Stuff like this, right? Where you were going to get far more movies. The Muppets were going to take over all of Disneyland at one point, and it's just like, man. And then that guy died because he had flippin' pneumonia and wouldn't go to the hospital.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And now the only representation we have is the last movie he directed.
And his idiot kid took over.
Yeah. And the last bit of like stuff that we have with the Muppets in these parks is Muppet Vision 3D, which is nice.
That's still one of my favorite things to do, though.
It's really nice. I
still giggle like a fucking kid with that one.
Yeah. I mean, watching Sweetums come out every time looking for the bunny is fucking hilarious.
Bean Bunny.
Yeah. Very funny. But we get that. And then we have the like great moments in history, like stage show that kind of sometimes happens in Liberty Square. Yeah. I love it. I really think, and again, who knows, but nobody loves the Hall of Presidents. You know what I mean? Especially in today's climate. And I seriously think, I talked about it on my YouTube channel, and I think you should all go check it out, but I'll basically talk about it here briefly, is get rid of the Hall of Presidents as a serious attraction. Yeah. Get rid of it. Nobody actually, like, the political discourse in this country is a fucking nightmare, and nobody is going to watch it. Like, they'll go see great moments with Mr. Lincoln because I think we all as a country objectively think that Lincoln was a good president. So I think that maybe we can agree on that.
He was all right.
Yeah, it was all right, I guess.
He did a thing or two.
Yeah, he did. he had a really tall hat, I guess. So like we can keep the great moments with Mr. Lincoln, but the Hall of Presidents should be rethemed with the Muppets. The Muppets should take you through, like, whether it's American history as a whole or the presidents. They bring you through the presidents, and like the presidents can still talk and yay, fun, because hooray, America. But god damn it, wouldn't it be fucking funny if Fozzie Bear was trying to recite the Declaration of Independence and Statler and Waldorf are just giving him shit the whole time? You know you love it. I know I'd love it, and we should make it happen.
I think because let's see. I know I went to the Hall of Presidents with my grandfather as a kid.
Yeah.
I hadn't been back until 2018 when we went on Christmas. The only reason was every ride was 2 hours long except for the big theater ones. So Carousel of Progress and Hall of Presidents, those were easy to get in on. Plus air conditioning. Yeah. So they had redone the theater like the year before. Yeah. And I will say this. The movie portion of Hall of Presidents is awesome in that like 180 fucking theater, that 180 theater, not 360, but 180. Yeah. So like half the room is the theater. Awesome. Grand scope of it. It's like that made me feel more American than anything I've ever experienced in my life. So that was awesome. Then the animatronics start. I'm like, all right. Because you can't get around people's fucking, just people are going to be people. And you know, some people were cheering, some people were booing. I'm like, oh my God, are you fucking really bringing this shit to Disney? Like, come on, man. So I see I think there's a happy medium there. Because I wouldn't want them to lose it. Again, it's not something I will ever step foot in again. Right. And not because it was a bad experience, just because it's like,
Well, the problem
I've seen it. I've been there, done that. Adding another guy isn't going to make me want to jump in there and hear what Biden has to say as an animatronic. It's just
the last time I saw it, Bush was the newest president. Okay. Right? That was the last time I saw the and it's just like I've been a bunch of times since. You know what I mean? So at the very least, I should have been able to go see it with Obama and Trump. Yep. Right. But at no point did I feel like, oh, I need to go in and watch this, because having Obama then say a quick paragraph and then have Trump say a quick paragraph. Like, I don't care. I don't.
Well, and that's just it. And it's like I said, the only reason we walked in there was because everything we literally walked into the Magic Kingdom with 3 fast passes on Christmas Day. Asses to elbows across the board. Everything was a 2-hour line. It's like, all right, well, let's at least do something while we're here before we just hop on the monorail and take the fuck off so we can go, breathe for a second. Yeah, right. So it was that. It was the theater ones that you could, feed 200 people at a clip into. And it's like, okay, like I said, I hadn't been into that thing since the 80s. So I didn't really remember it. I knew they had the animatronics and the talking thing. It's like, when the Lincoln animatronic stands up, that was pretty fucking cool. But not something I'm gonna be like, oh, we're going to Disney. We gotta definitely bookmark a half an hour for this. You know what I mean?
But a conversation between Lincoln and Miss Piggy, 100%.
I'm all there. Like I said, that's okay. That's a great way to look at it, because, like I said, I did it once, and I'm not gonna probably go into the Hall of Presidents again.
Right.
But every time, the show hasn't changed, but every time I'm in Hollywood Studios, I go to Muppet Vision.
Right. And that's
without fail. I make it a point. I'm like, oh, we gotta block off a time. We're gonna go to the Tune-In Lounge, have a few Jack and Cokes, and then go over to Muppet Vision and giggle like kids. It's gonna be great.
Right. And that's the thing is, and again, everything sucks, right?
We just want to be at Disney. Have you figured out? First of all, have you figured out Muppet Treasure Island? Not a great movie. We want to go to Disney. Those are the 2 points.
Yeah, we want to go to Disney, and I want to see the Muppets at Disney, because again, like, they do a show, and I referenced it, and I don't think I explained it, but in the same, right outside the Hall of Presidents, they have great moments in American history with the Muppets, and basically it's Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, and Gonzo, and Camilla. And they basically hang out of windows, sing a little song, and give you like a brief history lesson. And it's a fun, educational little thing that the Muppets do. So it's wacky, it's zany, and it's fun. And for something like the Hall of Presidents, which it was forever ago and there were a million different controversies and things and stuff that happened, but it's like, you know what we don't need? We don't need the president, because Trump, the last president, he had held up the renovation for the Hall of Presidents, because when they were installing his animatronic, he was fighting with the Walt Disney Corporation as to what his animatronic was going to say. And it's like, you know what? Who the fuck cares? Who actually fucking cares? You know what? Shut up. And I want to see you just have a conversation with Gonzo, because we can all objectively find that funny, because it doesn't have to be Gonzo making fun of Trump because that's stupid, or we don't have to have, Fozzie making fun of Biden. No, but just Muppets are funny, and we would all enjoy ourselves and laugh a little bit more. And
Muppets
that's all I
silly.
want. That's all I want. You know what? Yeah, I wish we could have an animatronic Tim Curry, because even he was fun.
Yeah, his parts of the movie, especially because they didn't revolve around the singing, were actually fun. And again, he was giving it his all. He was clearly having a good time, which was fun to watch. I like watching people in situations like this that are actually having a good time. It's crazy, right? But the movie just
it's not good.
And I think it was also like they made Kermit unimportant and really unlikable. I'm not gonna that's what I took away from
unlikable.
it. He was unlikable. He sounded weird. It wasn't the real Kermit voice that we've got to know. It wasn't good, and the pacing sucked. It felt like it took forever to get through this hour and a half long movie. I was floored when it said hour 40 minutes. I'm like, really? I feel like I've been here for 2 days. Not a wild. I was hoping for so much better. Like when you said it last week, I'm like, great. I don't think I've ever watched that. If I have, it's been way too long, and I don't remember it. So this is gonna be fun, because I remember how much fun The Christmas Carol was. Right. And same thing. I hadn't watched that in forever, and I'm like, this is great. So I'm like, oh, cool. No, didn't have a good time.
No,
didn't have a good time.
1 out of 1. Mike wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, would not recommend. Dump it on the Yelp review. Are we doing The Rookie next year? Next week?
We could.
Are we actually going to do that? That came literally out of nowhere.
I know. I have a list of movies that I think would be very fun to do, because I came prepared with that. But if you want to do The Rookie, we could do The Rookie.
There's for shits and giggles, I just pulled up movies released 20 years ago. There's actually a decent amount of 20-year anniversary movies that are pretty good that we could go through. Throw me some ideas off your list. Let's see what we're working with.
So because this wasn't as good, there's one movie that people constantly tell me it's also inspired by Treasure Island. It's called Treasure Planet. It is a sci-fi animated movie from
Jory,
Disney.
See me wincing?
Yes, I did.
Seen that one.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it, but apparently it's supposed to be good. It's supposed to be a good Disney version of animated sci-fi version of it. I
think we need some guaranteed fun. I just saw one. How about this? I'm gonna throw this one at you.
My other one was an anime movie, just because I wanted to watch your head explode.
Well, this one could be called animated. Swordfish.
Swordfish?
Do you remember Swordfish with John Travolta, Hugh Jackman? Yeah, 20th anniversary of Swordfish. That movie's bonkers.
Okay, we should do Swordfish.
That. We got that. Let's see what else is celebrating. Swordfish it's a pretty solid one, because that's right in our this is fucking stupid wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Also, 20 years ago, the hacking in that movie was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. Jason X was 20 years ago.
Oh, I love Jason X.
Yep. AK Jason Goes to Space. How High with Meth and Red was 20 years ago.
Okay.
Let's see. Freddy Got Fingered was 20 years ago.
God, no.
That's the 20th anniversary of that.
Nope.
I legitimately love this movie, American Sweethearts. Have you ever seen it? John Cusack, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Billy Crystal, Julia Roberts. Really good fucking movie. That's a solid one. I think we would both enjoy that one almost too much for the reviewing of it yet.
Sure.
We might want to dump a couple of shits on here first before we get there. Another just out of fucking left field bonkers movie that I'm or you haven't seen? One Night at McCool's.
Nope, never seen it.
Andrew Dice Clay plays twins.
Oh, no, thank you. Nope.
Look,
No.
Look, that just brought me to another thing. I haven't played the Ford Fairlane card yet, so you're going to have to pick. How much dice do you want next week?
I already picked Swordfish, so ladies and gentlemen, we're doing Swordfish. It's the first movie I saw with boobs in it.
All right. Expensive ones at that. All right, so next week, I'm going to get dice on this fucking show. I want that. I want another review. I want another iTunes review. It's the only one we have.
God. Yeah, can someone please just review this show on iTunes or Podomatic or Spotify?
Do I gotta do the impersonation to get a review?
No, thank you.
Hickory dickory dock, 1 star, my bulls. So okay, next week, Swordfish. Swordfish. 20th anniversary of Password Swordfish, starring John Travolta, Halle Berry, and her boobs. All right. Thank you for joining us on That Movie Show. Mike Wendt and Eddie McCabe. You can follow us on social media at Mike Wendt, at the Eddie McCabe. I'm actually at the Mike Wendt because I logged on TikTok because I logged in when TikTok first came out and I signed up for at Mike Wendt, and I can't for the life of me remember how I did it, and I can't get access to the account.
Have you tried your phone number?
I've tried everything. I've tried my phone number. I tried like old dormant emails. I tried logging in through Facebook, and I don't know. I'm probably logged in through fucking Snapchat or something. I just don't know the password to that. So
probably
that's where it is. So at Mike Wendt is on TikTok, but the one I'm actually doing my bullshit on that I don't want people to follow, but they keep following. I took a cue from you and went the Mike Wendt. But yeah, Eddie's actually putting forth an effort, so go follow him on TikTok and YouTube.
Go give me a follow on YouTube. I'm really trying to do that. I'm putting out like episodes and shit.
It's actually putting in work. Don't follow my dumb shit because I'm just pointing a phone at a TV and calling you all stupid.
Yeah.
That actually might start being my bit. 30 seconds at second 29. Stupid. I found a bit. And it's my favorite one. Fucking with the internet.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So thanks for joining us again on That Movie Show. ThatMovieShow.net is the website. You can find the archives there. We are literally on every and all podcast apps. So please hit the subscribe, hit the rate, hit the review, hit all the buttons. And we will see you back next week for Swordfish.
Bye, everybody.
That's Hooey Valley, Hooey Hollywood.